When you went into the military?
17.
And what made you decide to go into the military?
My friend Jimmy Clifford, he was a playmate of mine, and I made him a partner in my chemistry lab after I broke up with Hank, and I didn't know what to do by myself, but it fizzled. There was also Irv Brenner. He was another friend I had at the same time.
So these guys joined the military?
What?
Did they join the military and it made you want to do it?
I don't think so, no. Jim Clifford joined the Marines. That didn't induce me to join, but I wanted to.
So what made you finally decide to enlist?
It's just something to do. I wasn't doing anything. I was just having losable jobs.
So what made you decide to join the Army? Like, how did you decide on the branch of the military to join?
I didn't have any reasoning.
Just one was as good as the other?
Like a likely progression.
So
my friend joined the Marines.
Okay.
Then I thought, well, I'll just join the Army.
Okay. So tell me about joining the Army. What exactly is that like? Your first
first
weeks in the Army?
You go to the Army camp, and I went to Fort McClellan, Alabama. And those guys were rough on me, and it's just what I needed. What
did they do?
They'd say, listen here, you crumb bum. If you don't obey orders here, I won't give you an apron. I'll paint your belly white.
Oh, okay. Crumb bum. Crumb bum was an insult. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And so you were in boot camp there.
Well, they would insult you with obedience.
Right. And this was where boot camp was that you went?
And they all said to me, well, you'll be all right. You know, I'd be up all night cleaning my rifle, and they'd say, well, he's working hard, but he just doesn't have that inclination. So he'd better find something else to get into.
About you?
Yeah.
So basically they didn't think you were military material.
Some didn't, but you can't go by them, you know.
Right.
Most people that give opinions don't know what they're talking about.
Well, what did you think about being in the Army?
I thought it was kind of nice.
What are some of the earliest memories of being in there, say in boot camp?
Oh, well, mostly you think about getting some quail.
Quail? What's quail?
Girls.
Oh, well, were there girls in the military, or were there...
There are girls at every Army camp.
Okay.
Waiting to get knocked up.
Okay.
And that's what I did, and I knocked her up.
Who?
Your mother.
But she wasn't in a military camp?
No, I met her in other areas.
Well, we're talking about the military right now.
But I got married because she told me she was pregnant.
We're just talking about the military right now. So, you ended up in Japan, is that correct?
The Army sent me to the Philippine Islands, and from there I went to Japan. Now, if you look at the Philippine Islands on a map, it looks just like Japan.
Okay.
It's composed of 4 or 5 little islands. And in Japan, it's Oahu, not Oahu, that's Hawaii. There are 4 names that run in a little string.
And what year was this about?
45.
So was the war over at this point? Or
no, the war ended in 46.
Okay, and so you were stationed in the Philippines?
Yeah, and in Japan.
Okay, now we were at war with Japan, so how could you be in Japan?
Because the war was over. When the war ended, they sent me to Japan. I was part of the occupation force.
Okay, what do you remember about that time?
Oh, I was a non-combatant, so I didn't have a rifle. And I would guard Japanese prisoners without a rifle.
What did you do? Just stand there?
I just say, go over here. Come on, get over here. Get to work.
That's it?
That's all I could do. Shine a light in their eyes, maybe.
Well, and so this was like a prison camp?
It was an army camp.
An army camp, okay. And
there were barracks. many barracks in a certain area.
So these were prisoners of war?
No, I didn't have prisoners of war there.
Okay.
We were in the army.
Okay, so
That's where we trained.
So you're just occupying Japan after the war
Yeah.
to make sure the peace is kept, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I had a good job after the war. I met a guy by the name of Strobel, and he taught me how to test for malaria, gonorrhea, syphilis, all the diseases that are prevalent in the Army. Because when a servicemen screw, they get diseases.
So you learned how to test for them? Did you have medication or
No, I learned how to test for them. You get a slide,
Okay.
and you spread the pus on a slide and stain it.
Okay.
And it, like malaria, is a gram-negative an extracellular germ.
So did you like this medical stuff?
Oh, I liked it, yeah.
Did you ever think of going into a medical profession?
Yeah, I thought about it, but I never put it to work.
So you just didn't have the motivation to continue
No,
with
I
that?
was unmotivated completely. This
But
friend
you
of
were-
mine, Hank Sasinski, knew that right away.
But you were a medic in the Army.
Yes.
Okay. Now, tell me about, I believe there was a Christmas time fire.
Yes.
What's that story? I know you told me
Well,
about...
the Japanese, in Japan, all the barracks are made of wood. They never paint them. They just let them rot there in the air, and they get very dry, like tinder, and it doesn't take much to get them going.
So,
And the Americans were used to living in tents, so they put their tent stove inside of the barracks. What the hell did they expect to happen?
so the place went up in flames.
Well, yeah, the building was on fire while we were in it.
So what happened? Did anyone get
I
hurt?
ran out the one door. If I go to the right, that's where the P thing was. The P thing was just two pieces of wood in the ground, like a V, and you pee on that board, and it would drain the piss in the proper area.
That was a latrine.
It's a typical Army latrine.
Latrine. Okay. And so did everyone get out? Was anyone hurt in
No,
this fire?
13 men were killed in that fire.
And
But
these,
they were visiting. They were a volleyball team that were looking for billeting.
where did this fire take place? Is there the name of the base?
Matsuyama, Japan.
Matsuyama, Japan. And
Yeah.
when did this happen? Do you remember the day?
1946.
And I know it was around Christmas, right?
Yeah,
Because you had mentioned, were you allowed to phone home
yeah.
to let people know
And
that you were
I
okay?
phoned home to a buddy of mine he was on temporary duty elsewhere. And I called his family up and let them know. The wording that I used was not injured in fire in barracks.
Did people
Season's greeting to all.
now? Did people in the United States know about this fire?
I didn't know. I thought it might be on the radio.
Okay, 'cause I wondered if it had been on the news.
No.
But you didn't know, just in case they had heard about it, you wanted them
Yeah.
to know you were all right.
So he thanked me for sending his family the message, and we all have been friends after that. He even came to visit me when I lived at 4700 on Gunderson.
Okay. And so the time in the military, how long were you in the military?
About 2 years, 7 months, and 21 days, but who's counting?
And you enlisted, so you were, there was not was there a draft then?
Yeah,
But you enlisted.
yeah. I was in what they call the Enlisted Reserve Corps. That means they can call you back anytime.
Really? But they never did call you back after that?
No.
Okay, now, what did you think about going overseas at such a young age?
I thought it was fun.
It was an adventure.
You got to realize my life at home. I was more or less on my own. and I would get in trouble.
How would you get in trouble? What were things that you did?
Well, there was an old abandoned theater near the house. It was called the Apollo Theater.
Okay.
And they just couldn't make a go of that theater. And it was a live theater type of place. So I used to go in the abandoned theater, and oh, was that magic time. When I got under that curtain, that steel curtain, there's all this light come in and a winding staircase going up and a catwalk going across. That was phenomenal.
Was this a movie theater or an actual stage?
It was a
Live theater.
vaudeville theater
Vaudeville theater.
original.
Okay.
And some Greeks in the area had that property because the pool room where I learned my skills at pool was named the Apollo Social Club.
So it was nearby.
It was right across the street.
Okay. And so, did you get in trouble for going into this theater, this abandoned?
No, not really. I guess I did, but it didn't amount to much.
But you just like being in there.
Let me tell you this. My mother knew everybody. And the manager of the theater was Mr. Cook, and his assistant manager was Bob O'Connor, who was a son-in-law of Mrs. Betzel, my mother's best friend. So a phone call dropped all charges.
What were the charges? Breaking and entering?
Yeah, I'm taking stuff out of the theater. But
So
I was getting $50 a week doing that.
What were you taking out of the theater?
Iron, brass, copper, zinc.
And you were selling it?
Oh, sure. The guy had a regular date to my house.
Oh, wow. Okay, but I assume that you stopped doing this after you got in trouble?
Oh, yeah. I was a good boy for a while.
How old were you when you did this?
11, 12.
Oh, you were young. Okay, so we're jumping back.
Yeah, the cops knew they couldn't do anything to me.
Right.
And they were so mad they wanted a good pinch. They were waiting for me to come. What happened was some kids in the street had a chassis from a 10-ton truck. And you could push it and load it up. Heretofore, Hank Sasinski made a dolly that you could get up and down curbs out of angle iron. You know, it was higher in the middle, and you want to get over the curb, you tilt it down and go over the bump. And that was a nice wagon, but Uncle Mendel, my mother's uncle, his name was Mendel, and his wife's name was Ganendel. That would be a story in itself.
Right, right.
They were so cute, but all their children were doctors.
Now, I know you didn't remember your grandparents at all, but this is the first mention of an aunt or uncle of any of your parents.
Oh.
You know, so do you remember other aunts? What do you remember about this aunt and uncle?
Who am I?
Mendel?
Oh, Mendel and Ganendel, that
Mendel.
was my mother's uncle.
Yes.
I don't know what relation that is to me.
Do you remember them at all, though?
Yeah, they were funny. They were so funny. They were not 5 foot tall, neither one of them. Only knew that he was a man was that his hair was short and hers was frizzy.
Did they look alike?
They were short, 5 foot, nothing.
And that was your mother's?
My mother's aunt and uncle.
Okay, I'm going to
And
stop
they would
now.
come over to my